The people I counted on most 8 years ago are surely different than the people I count on now. But I know most of them through this community. And as a teenager especially, but also as an adult, it is easy to fall victim to the pressures of life that can make you act uncharacteristically. Having a strong community, no matter who it's comprised of, is extremely helpful in guiding you away from harmful decisions. About a year ago, my best friend in the entire world decided that we weren't going to be friends anymore. There was no big fight, there was no dramatic ending, it was just over. Losing her was terrible, but even worse than losing her was losing every single one of our mutual friends. My community disappeared right in front of my eyes. By the end of the summer, I had no one left. I felt completely lost and completely alone, but it forced me to do a lot of soul searching. I thought a lot about my own life, what I hoped to accomplish during my senior year, and about my faith. I figured out that if I relied only on myself, I could never be disappointed. It's clearly far from true, but it worked then. That summer was inarguably one of the toughest times of my life. But I know without the feeling of losing everything I knew, I would not be as strong of an individual as I am today. Rediscovering my community and finding out the people who actually cared about me was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. More importantly than finding my friends, new and old, was that I was forced to find God again. My junior year was ridiculously busy, and any of you that have been there or are going there totally understand. I had gotten so caught up in my peers and my own life that I had pushed my faith to the background. Having God to talk to at the end of the summer when no one else would listen really helped me get through a tough time, just as Paul and Silas relied on praying when they were stuck in prison. After the earthquake that gave Paul and Silas and the rest of the prisoners a chance to escape, there had to have been thousands of thoughts running through their minds. They had been praying and singing to the Lord to be saved, and now they had their chance. But rather than run, they stayed. They thought of the jailer before they thought of themselves. Whenever I'm faced with tough decisions, ranging anywhere from who to ask to prom, what party I should go to, or whether or not I should study for my physics test, I think about my community. Anything that could disappoint them is never an option. It's important to remember that temptations are everywhere, and they can cause us to take risks that we would never take otherwise. These risks are as real as the cheesy commercials about sitting on Pete's couch for 8 hours, as real as your friend not making you home after a party, as real as leaving an abusive or uncaring lover, as real as the job you'd be otherwise ashamed to talk about, and as real as the police waiting outside of your prom bus to keep leaving. And as real as whatever those things just makes you think of. The most important thing you can do is to face these temptations, take the risks, and never let the temptations control you. Everyone gets caught up sometimes. It's easy to feel trapped by stress and you have a million things to do and no time to do them. It's easy to feel trapped physically before you have the courage to stand up to the friend, lover, or coworker that treats you badly. It's easy to feel trapped financially when you lose your job or risk losing it for something you'd rather do. It's important when you feel trapped by life itself to remember that you have a community waiting for you on the other side. To make you feel whole again, to make you belong, and to ease whatever pain you're feeling. Whether that community is hundreds of people, a handful of close friends, or just the Lord your God, there will always be someone waiting to be your everything. There truly is nothing better than this, a life led to believe in a higher power. You've all been hearing that since you started going to church. It's an accepted fact, but there comes a time in nearly everyone's life when that age-old teaching actually becomes meaningful. For me, it was when I had no one left to turn to but God. For you, it could have been when there was an illness, a baby that was nearly lost, a devastating accident on the job, a crippling end to a relationship, or a number of other things. Lifehouse says it best in that song when they say that God is really everything. Without Him in our lives, there would be no meaning to our days, no rest after the storms, no trust, no strength, and no hope for the future. I was most excited about directing this skit because of the implications it had in my life and the lives of people that I'm privileged to know. The temptations displayed in that skit are things that teenagers face every day. Everyone I talked to felt they could relate to it. Experiencing all your firsts from love, freedom, jobs, doubts, and even deads make adolescence an even more difficult time than just trying to figure out how to get through your awkward speech. A few of us got so caught up in how relevant we thought it was for the youth, we started to question whether the adults would even understand what we were doing. But after hearing from some of the other small group leaders, it seemed that these temptations remained, no matter what stage of life you were in. And while most of the adults have experienced and triumphed over their temptations before, it doesn't mean they don't still exist. Another thing that got me really excited about this skit was that I was really involved in a similar project back in the fall at school. One of our really good friends had been struggling with an eating disorder for years. It took her almost 4 years to realize that she needed help, but once she did, seeing the community that rallied around her was truly inspiring. So inspiring that our Rutland High School's theater department actually dedicated 10 minutes of our fall show to telling her story. Remembering the impact that that performance had on several of the other people I know really made me think that this project could do the same thing. I really hope that this performance makes a difference in someone's life other than mine. And as my teachers constantly tell me, if I've made a difference in just one person's life, then I've done my job. As I prepare to head off to the University of Pittsburgh in the fall, I've been forced to realize that this church will no longer be a part of my daily reality. However, I'm confident that it will remain part of my daily mental reality anyway. The friends I made here and the mentors I've encountered will forever hold me accountable, whether they know it or not. Even from 5 hours away, you all will be shaping a lot of my decisions. And I know that even from hours away, you'll be there for me. You'll continue to be my strength. I'll continue to trust in you. And I'm planning to extend the faith community out to the other side of the state. Without the encouragement of my faith community, you wouldn't be hearing from me today. Like many of the teens in my graduating class, I would have found something better to do with my Saturday than write this. I would have picked up an extra shift at work on Thursdays instead of going to confirmation. I would have lost contact with all the people that I used to hold so dear, no matter how much they keep trying to bring me back. To those who keep encouraging me and who I can't stand the thought of disappointing, this is my unofficial thank you. Many of you are here this morning, a lot of you aren't. But those people are my personal proof that there is a higher power in this world. They're the backbone of what I truly believe and why I believe that there's a God looking out for each of us every day. The last thing I need to say to everyone is that you're not alone. Everyone has their issues, and there will always be someone you can talk to. Whether people think you're mature or beautiful, strong, or talented, or totally put together, I know there could be 1,000 demons stopping up every thought. It's important to remember that that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having an issue. There are things waiting at every corner trying to trap you, ready to imprison you. The important thing is how you deal with those things that are lurking around the corner. Will you run away? Will you pray? Maybe you'll sing. I reread my faith statement that I submitted as a 9th grader, and the only thing that had any meaning in it at all was that God was the only thing that can be counted on all the time. Reading that I believed that then, and knowing that I believe it now, I realized that it's one of the few things I really took seriously in my faith. And I feel the same way. God will be here forever whenever you need him the most. So the next time you want to run away, think about where you're going. Rather than run away from your problems, be like the girl in the skit and run towards God. It may be a struggle. You may conquer several obstacles along the way, but finding God at the end of such a difficult struggle will be all the rest and reward you can need. Until then, I'm going to choose to face my issues.